that you understand this concept before we go on today. All right, so the first thing you need to know is whenever you are multiplying radicals, as long as they're the same radical, you just multiply what's underneath. So you would go the cube root, and then you would say 9 times 3. What is 9 times 3? 27. X times x squared is x to the third. Then you always keep in mind this sheet right here. This is the thing you always have to go to. So we have 27. The cube root of 27 is 3. So you're going to put 3. And how many x's are going to come out? 1. Now, can anybody tell me why the cube root of 27 is 3? What does that mean? Just so we make sure we understand that. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. I just want to make sure you guys, I want to make sure you remember that. All right. So, right now we have the cube root of 4 times the cube root of 2. So that means it's the cube root of 8. Looking at our sheet here, the cube root of 8 is 2.
Wait, is number 1 done?
Yep.
What about the second one? 3x squared.
X times x squared is x cubed.
Oh, we already, okay.
And then if there's 3 in the group and you 3 have to leave at a time, 1 group can come out. So, what is the cube root of 8? 2. All right, I know some of you did it, and I know some of you haven't, but I want you to take a second and do 3 and 4 real quick.
32.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the first thing you have is the 4th root of 8 times 2, which class is 16. So you look at your sheet, the 4th root of 16 is 2.
Why are they all 2?
I don't know, just happened to be. Here we have the 5th root, 8 times 4, which is 32. And again, the 5th root of 32 is 2. Alright. Now, we're not going to do all of these, but we are going to do some of these. Alright, so yep, we will in later. Alright, so the first thing that we have, ladies and gentlemen, is to FOIL. John, what's my first step? I'm going to, very good. So square root of 2 times square root of 2 is? Square root of 4. Which is 2, but we're going to wait on that. Then we are going to, so you do this here, and then we do the outer one. So square root of 2 times negative square root of 3 is negative square root of 6. Inner is positive square root of 6. And last, negative square root of 9. So we have square root of 4, which is 2. This is gone. And then we have minus 3.
So the negative square root of 6 and the square root of 6 cancel out.
That's correct. So 2 minus 3 gives me a negative 1. All right, I want you guys to try number 6. All right, ladies and gentlemen, eyes and ears now. So you take the square root, of 5 times the square root of 5, which gave you the square root of 25. Then you took the square root, Cody, take the square root of 5 times 1, which is the square root of 5. Then you minus right there. So negative 1 times the square root of 5 is a negative square root of 5. See that?
Yes.
Then negative 1 times 1 is a negative 1. The middles drop out. So, Lucas, what do we have? I know. That's why I'm calling you back. So, the square root of 25 is? Square root of 25 is 5. This is gone, minus 1, which is 4. We're going to do one more before we talk about what we're seeing here. So when you're doing this, I want you guys to see if you can see what is happening. It's important to understand what is happening. So now try number 7. Alright, so we have here 2 times 2 gave me 4. 2 times negative square root of 6 gives me a negative 2 square roots of 6. Then you have a positive square root of 6 times 2 is a plus 2 square roots of 6. And last we have a negative square root of 36. The middles dropped out. So we have 4 minus, what's the square root of 36? 6. So we have negative 4. First of all, thank you. Thank you, negative 2. Thank you.
Math does not.
All right. For the last 3 times, the last 3 things that we did, the middles dropped out. So, here's our pattern. You guys must, this is important for you to understand the next. So for those of you that are texting and all that, please pay attention to this, because if you don't get this, is what's going to be hard. 2, this is plus square root of 6, and this is 2 minus the square root of 6. They have to be the opposite. See, it says square root of 5 minus 1, square root of 5 plus 1. Square root of 2 plus the square root of 3, square root of 2 minus the square root of 3. So for the middle to drop out, it has to be the same thing that you're multiplying, except for one has to be positive, one has to be negative. Those are called conjugates. We're going to be using this in today's lesson. So it's very important that you understand this. Now, if you did not finish this, I'm going to leave you for 8, 9, and 10. However, remember the middle 2 always drop out if they are the opposites. So that means you really only have to do the F and L. Means the first and last. So if you wanted to do the trick, your first is 4, F and L if they're opposite. So 4, and then the square root of 7 times the square root of negative 7, which is negative 7, right? Because it's 49, which is 7, which is equal to negative 3. So you remember that if it's a conjugate, you just have to do the F and L. All right? Let's do number 3, because you guys asked about this. Or number 11, I meant. The first thing you have to do on number 11, is to reduce this. So 3 goes into 6 how many times? Twice. So that 3, 6, hopefully you guys understand, is 1/2. Keeping my cube root sign. Whoops. So now you can multiply across, remember. So you have 1 times 3, which gives me 3. 2 times 4, which gives me 8. And remember, it's still the cube root. The fractions are very important to understand, to remember that. Last, you have to take the cube root of the first, the top. And there is no cube root of 3, so that's going to stay there. But what is the cube root of 8? 2. If you need to write that step down, you can, but I'm not going to because I ran out of space. But the cube root of 8 is 2. Last, we have 2 over the square root of 3. what we can't have the square root on the bottom, so we have to remember, and this leads into today's stuff, you can never have the square root. So we have to multiply by the, we have to multiply by the square root of 3. Now, this is important. I want you to tell me, why do I multiply by the square root of 3 and not something else? Well, because you can't have the square root on the bottom, but why not the square root of 2?
It'll give itself.
Equal 1.
Okay, listen. This is very important because this does lead into the thing that we're doing after lunch.
Isn't that so that the bottom one is all perfect?
That is exactly right. So that the bottom becomes a perfect, and remember, and then the top, remember, is 2 square roots of 3. After lunch, we're going to do other ones that are not just squares. So we have the answer 2 square root of 3 over 3. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you should be able to finish 9 and 10. A lot of you already did, but I want you to do 9 and 10 real quick. Before lunch, you should be able to get those done. Remember, you just have to do the F and L's. And you are getting points on this. Also, I need you guys to write 130, because this was 130's points. And then after lunch, we will start today's 130, like the date, yesterday's date.